So empaths, let's talk about what it's like with our diets and what it's like when we are eating good and when we're not eating well, and how that can potentially affect our moods, right? So again, I'm always going to attach, where applicable, the links for the things that I'm talking about. So an example of our mood and our health would be in terms of our gut health. They say that 90% of our digestion and how we affect and our cognitive and how we think and our moods come into our digestion, come into our colon, come into the gut. All of that is affected. So that stands to reason that, as they say, you are what you eat. And so just like how whenever you catch a cold or something like this and the doctors tell you, do not consume at this time milk and dairy because it's going to produce more mucus, it is the same thing as being aware that as an empath, you are highly sensitive. So there are certain things that you need to stay away from because they can affect your moods. Now, here's the thing, right? We've known for some time now that there's been certain things going on with our food. Some people want to agree with that, they know this, and some people want to say that, that's a conspiracy theory. And again, I'm only speaking to those that are, clear and connected to their own body and are listening and responding to their nature, okay? And so if we understand that a person can be allergic, I've used this example before, to peanuts. They come around it, they eat it, they consume it, they have an allergic reaction. We can also understand then that if an empath has aversions to certain things, whether it be lactose, dairy, and it be certain types of meat, if it depends on certain types of starches and white types of foods, sugars and flours and those things, then you need to understand that it's the same type of instantaneous reaction that can happen when they consume that. So that means that within an hour, within hours of them consuming things that they shouldn't consume, their moods can be affected by that. I can tell you personally for myself, I'm a completely different person when I have a diet of consistent alkaline type of water, when I'm able to have all of my fruits and my vegetables whole, not cooked, not processed, just straight off the tree. And it is a different vibration that is happening. I have a different way of vibing and feeling and maneuvering and navigating and responding and reacting, and also being able to interface with nature. So when I'm able to have the sunlight within my being, when I'm able to go out into the water and be able to plant my feet on the earth and be able to breathe in the oxygen of the trees, all of these things, when I'm able to participate in a natural way, I'm a better functioning person. When I am bombarded with the concrete jungle of the congestion of all of the chemicals that is floating around in the air, all of the buildings are covering the natural sunlight. It's a more colder type of environment, and the food, the nutrition, we're not able to get the quality that we need. And then you have to take supplements, and you have to take, the extra tonics through the herbs in order to get the nutrients that you need. And you realize that yes, you're missing your magnesium, you're missing your copper, your selenium, your potassium, you're missing your vitamins, your minerals. And we know that all of these things are the building blocks, and all of these things are what helps for you to be a more balanced and highly more productive person on a day-to-day basis. So this is why I bring this up. It's one thing to be an empath who needs to ensure that you're eating well and that you are on top of how your food and how lack of exercise, lack of positive ways of going about your day and being active in your community and being active when present within yourself. There's certain works and tools that we all have that we're supposed to be working on in terms of self-improvement. There is a lot of movement. There are a lot of things that when you're isolated from your culture and your community and the things that can bring you into being your best interest, that can work against you. So when we take all that out of the context, this is what I have to say when we're talking about food, and we're talking about your mental health, and we're talking about the ups and the downs and the lows that can happen with depression. And on top of that, what I also feel is a representation of food and mood and health and all of that is that when it comes to, I'm in Canada, and it comes to being wintertime, they've coined the phrase SAD for seasonal affective disorder. So it's clear that as a natural empath and natural being, and me, again, speaking in the context of the Black community and being more of a tropical type of solar type of being, being energized by the sun and being able to be energized in the less clothes as possible, it is very disruptive to my being every single time the winter comes around, because I cannot be my natural self and I do not receive the natural benefits of nature the way that I do when it is a warmer climate, or when I'm in more of my natural environment that reflects more of the natural modalities that I need. So these are aspects of things that we need to look at and recognize that it's the context versus the assessment of what are we dealing with here? What does that look like? And in oftentimes of the research, you see that there's a strong connection with the lack of minerals and vitamins and nutrition that the body is intaking in people who are labeled any of these things. You need to ensure that your health is balanced, and you know whether your health is balanced or not. Are you fatigued? Are you moody? Are you irritable? Are you foggy? Is your brain, is your memory off? Things like that can be indicators that there's something going off inside of your entire holistic system, and that you need to check that out. And for me as an empath, it's not to put in more medication and to put more chemicals in my body. Actually, I work to ensure that I put the least amount of chemicals in my body at a time. And as a matter of fact, I'm not perfect. There are times where I go to visit people or whatever the case is, and I will eat outside of my diet. There are times when I'm feeling a bit more sad, it is more cold or whatever is happening. So yes, I have my chips and I have my cookies, and I'll eat my frozen cauliflower crust type pizzas, to be a little bit more healthier. But I know that when I'm eating these things, that they affect me. Eating the white processed foods, junk foods, flours, all those things, coffees, drinking alcohol. I know the things that affect my mood, and I know that when I take them, I have to work even more harder in order for me to balance myself out. So these are things that one should take into account, that just as instantaneously as I said at the beginning, that you can be affected by having an allergic reaction to something, is the exact same thing as an empath. You have to take seriously everything that you consume. It's not just food and drink, it's also the people, places, and things that you're interfacing with that can affect your mood. And that is a high aspect when it comes to what an empath's life is like. We are constantly absorbing and transmuting energies back and forth, and food is a form of communication and energy. So that's something to think about now, isn't it? She don't need that water. She don't need that water. Last bite. Chief told us that our ancestors love millet. We Africans and Jamaicans really enjoy our porridge any time of the day. Research millet and return to nature. On Point Organics. Sur Point.